Well, John, first of all, vital point on Easter Monday against Oxford United, given the circumstances after about the 20th minute.
Yeah, I think that given the circumstances after the 20th minute, we still would have been hopeful of winning the game, going a goal up. At 1-1, I still thought we showed enough intent to try and win the game. Obviously, going 2-1 down later on, it was such a bitter blow in the game with really few chances as well, even against 11 men. To come back into it, I think in the way that we did with, I think pretty much everything going against us on the day, it was very pleasing.
What's the update that Conor over the red card? Have you managed to appeal that yet?
We've appealed it. Yeah, we're hopeful to hear something tonight or tomorrow.
How pleased were you with Keshi Anderson to get his first Portsmouth goal? He really looked like he enjoyed himself out on that left-hand side.
Yeah, I think Keshi played very, very well, deservedly man of the match, got his goal, gave us a different dynamic, and I think that there were two things that I thought came away. It was a bit bittersweet. The first was that's the first we've properly seen of Keshi. I know we've had a couple of glimpses of him off the bench, but because of the injury he picked up when he was due to start against Ipswich, it's been a very, very stop-start beginning to his Portsmouth career. And I think if he could have maybe dovetailed with Millie a little bit more over those 3 months, we might have picked up a couple more points. Who knows? But very, very pleased with Keshi's output. And the second part of that being slightly annoyed on the day is the fact that I think with 11 men we would have seen Keshi in full flow, as we could have seen getting a lot more of the ball, causing Oxford a huge amount of problems. But unfortunately we were denied that.
What did you make of Jordan Williams when he came on? It's obviously been quite a while since he's got some minutes.
Yeah, Jordan, I mean, he's a very good professional, so he's kept himself in excellent shape over the past few weeks, and you could see that in the physical output that he gave us. We were asking a lot of him, particularly when Keshi released to go and press the right-sided centre half, and we needed Jordan to have a lot of energy underneath that to go and try and deal with Mills, and I thought he did that very well. Showed a lot of energy going forward. He was a bit unlucky in the first half to not get on the end of that Keshi Anderson through ball, and to come in and coming out of the cold and do as well as he did was really pleasing.
90 minutes later, both Andre and Conor shot to see how pleased you were.
Yeah, it was one of those. It was just the circumstances of the game. We would have loved to have been able to manage them differently and have the scoreline been different. Had we had 11 men, who knows? I'd have made a different decision. But at that point, I think with everybody in the flow of the game and how intense the game was, it was difficult anyway to make substitutions in those moments. I think we saw that on the second goal in particular when we did make a sub. I think sometimes players that even when you bring them on, getting up to the speed of the game is difficult. But very, very pleased with Dawes and Shocks. It wasn't necessarily the plan, but it was a needs must at that point.
It was about 150 Pompey appearances for Maron. What's his impact been like this season, especially not just over the past few years that you've been there?
Yeah, I think that Marlon's had a brilliant impact this year. He's probably going to end up starting 30 odd games for us, and that's testament to his professionalism, how well he's kept himself physically over the past few years. He's always done that through his career, but to do that when you tick over 30 is a very, very difficult thing to do. And so to sustain the levels that he's played at is very, very impressive. We know what a good player he is, what a brilliant leader he is, and yeah, it's great to have him out there.
How much of that Fratton Park atmosphere helped get that point over the line in the end?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was such a strange day. It was a bit surreal from my standpoint. We started off with that brilliant atmosphere. The fans got the goal that they deserved. I think everybody was sort of buoyant and really looking forward to an afternoon of us really getting at Oxford, and we showing that attacking intent that we'd showed and we come out to in the first sort of 10 to 15 minutes. And after that, it changed. It became a bit of a different game, and it was definitely it was. I don't know if it was enjoyable or not, but it was proper atmosphere, proper championship clash, and we've got 3 more of those coming up. Different circumstances, albeit we've got 3 more of those coming up, and we're going to need that sort of ferocious atmosphere going into all 3 of them.
They've had to Saturday and Kinhell was Middlesbrough. What do you expected from them on Saturday? Last time was Rob Edwards at the helm. They were beaten and Pompey managed to end that run.
Yeah, they're a really good side. They've been up in the top 2 for the majority of the season. I know they've dropped out recently through a run of poor results, not poor performances, poor results more than anything else. Very, very good side, and they have an extremely distinct playing style, move the ball very, very well, and some excellent players to match that, as you would need to if you're going to play that sort of system. So I think they provide a real threat. The form book for me in terms of Middlesbrough not picking up as many wins as they'd like to is irrelevant. I've watched them time and time again tear sides apart. I think the only thing that's been missing for them in recent weeks has just been that sort of maybe killer instinct, that cutting edge in front of goal. So I think we've got a really tough task on our hands against the top side.
given the way that Middlesbrough do play in possession football, that you like to implement on the lads at times? Do you think that's going to really build for an exciting game and be a different one to a really feisty one on Monday against Oxford?
Yeah, I think it should do. Obviously, Middlesbrough and Oxford are very, very different sides, and going away to the Riverside is always going to be tough. So I think it hopefully will be an exciting game, a different game. I think we showed two very, very different sides over the weekend. Obviously, take out the performance post 17 minutes when Connor was sent off. I thought in the opening 17 minutes, I thought we showed that attacking intent a lot more so than we probably had in the opening 17 of the game away at Norwich, but that was by design. We didn't want to open the game up. We wanted to make it difficult. We wanted to settle ourselves into a game away from home because we hadn't done that at QPR. So yeah, I think we can do both sides of it well.
Was announced the former Pompey midfielder John Maron was now taking Bristol City under 21 to the end of the season. How pleasing for him?
Yeah, delighted for Joe. It was a path I'd always thought he'd take. It was a shame that he's had to retire so early, but wish him the best of luck in doing that.
And finally, looking at the run, obviously Middlesbrough at Ipswich, Coventry, 3 teams fighting for the top 2, and then Leicester in a week or so, a team that are fighting with Pompey. How difficult does that make this run when you're playing teams that have got something to fight for as well? Yeah,
I think the answer is that there's never any rhyme or reason to what happens at the back end of the year. In my experience, sometimes sides that have got nothing to play for, that are mid-table, show up and they're lacklustre and they don't give you anything, and that can be a real bonus. And sometimes sides that have got nothing to play for in mid-table show up and they play with a huge amount of freedom and they're really, really difficult to play against, and you have that with both ends of the table as well. And I'm sure that in us we need to be a side that sides look at and think, well, actually Portsmouth have got something to play for, they've got everything to play for, so they're going to be a really, really difficult opponent, which we've shown over the weekend. Bouncing back from the QPR game, and we really need to make sure that we do that regardless of who we're playing against. Ultimately, we've got the 6 fixtures we've got. It doesn't matter, you've got to play everyone twice, and we've got to try and pick up as many points as we can.
Cheers, John.
Cheers.
Was that Caballero's best Pompey performance on Monday?
I think so, yeah. All that was missing was probably a little bit of final product, but I thought he put in some very good deliveries into the box. The work rate and the energy that he showed was absolutely outstanding, and that's why we brought him into the football club.
Has it taken him time to adjust to English football, do you feel?
I don't think so, because I think he adjusted pretty quickly. I thought that his first start for the club was at home. It was away to Charlton, and he had an impact in that game. He obviously got his next goal away at Millwall, and so yeah, I think his impact has been a lot quicker. The time he's taken to adjust has been a lot quicker than a lot of players coming in January, particularly from South America. So yeah, I think he's adjusted very quickly.
What does he give your team?
I think a huge amount of energy and a lot of attacking intent. His work rate is second to none. Some of the distance that he covers and high speed distance is absolutely brilliant, and he's quick as well. And what he provides us with is a really brilliant outlet. And there's maybe been times where if we've had a lot of the ball, he's maybe not been quite at his best. I think Gus operates really, really well in space, and as soon as Oxford went down to 10 men, I thought that suited him well. Albeit, as soon as we went down to 10 men, and albeit with 11, he looked like a real threat as well. He opened up a couple of times in the far channel, went away from Kieran Brown and created some really good opportunities. I think just before the goal, that cross that just got cut out, and I thought he was a real live wire all game.
What more do you want from him?
The last bit for Gus is just, I think, a little bit more final product in terms of assists and goals, and we're always going to ask a bit more from our wide players in terms of making sure they deliver that.
If that's his best game, have you noticed him get better as time's gone on, improve?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the performances that he's put in, I thought he was good against Norwich. He was a threat against Norwich as well. When he has put everything together and he's got the goals and a couple of threatening moments, then if we can get that on a bit more of a consistent basis, then yeah, we've got a really good player there.
And then there's obviously the language issue. How's that handled?
It's absolutely fine. There's been no issue there.
Nico Smith, what have you made of him this season?
I think that Nico set really high standards for himself last year, and for the majority of this year he's still hit them. Obviously there's always going to be disappointment when we concede goals, and Nico's the most honest Goalkeeper, that you'd like to know, always recognises whenever there's something he wants to do better or can do better, and we're always trying to work towards that, and we can. It's very, very easy. Ultimately, the ball goes in past the goalkeeper as the sort of final action in anything, but there's a huge amount of mistakes that the outfield players make as well, and we have to be better, I think, as a collective to make sure that we try and restrict opposition a little bit more. I know Nico will want to keep improving on his performances.
He set the bar high, obviously. Is it a concern for you he's not reached that this season?
Not really. I still think he set the bar extremely high last year, and obviously as soon as you do that, I think people expect a certain level of performance. It's not always going to come. People always have ups and downs in their career, and I still think Nico's performing at a decent championship level, and I think it's just about maybe getting him back to the peak of where he was last year.
So if you've got plenty in your mind in terms of team selection at the moment, is goalkeeper really one of them?
We consider every single position every week, so sometimes that position of goalkeeper seems a little bit more straightforward, but we're always making sure that things are competitive. I don't want the number 2, 3 and 4 thinking there's absolutely no chance of them getting in the side, but I also want the number 1 to know that he's got my backing, and that we have every faith in Nico as the goalkeeper at the football club. And if we had to make a change like we did earlier in the season because of the injury to Nico, we've also got excellent people to come in and play in that position.
And there's good competition there as well with Bursik, who's doing well early in the season. Yeah,
I think that Ben came in and was really unlucky to not play a little bit more. We made the decision to go with Joe Bursik, and Joe did very well in that interim period as well. So we've got good competition for the keepers.
You dropped to Ali against Oxford. Is that a reflection of his recent form?
I think there's always the temptation in football, and I try and convince the players. Obviously, it is what it is. I'm not going to cry about the language we use in the press and in football. I made the decision to go with Keshi. I think footballers get far too wrapped up, and I did as a player, in selection and deselection. It's not the end of the world. I just pick a side that I think is going to win the game, and if I go with certain players, all I want is for other players that haven't made the starting 11 to be ready to go. Things change very, very quickly in football, so I needed Millie to be ready to come on. I might need him to be ready to start at the weekend. Look, if Millie had scored 6 in 6, probably wouldn't have left him out, but that's the nature of where we've been. I think he's been excellent since he's come in, and I'm looking forward to seeing much more of it.
With Keshi brought in, I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Could be probably his best player on Monday as well.
Yeah, I think so. He got the Man of the Match award. There's a couple of things I think that are frustrating about that. Number 1, that's the first we've properly seen of Keshi because of the injury, and number 2, I was convinced that had we stayed with 11 men, then we'd have seen far more of him on the ball in an attacking sense, and I think he would have had even more of an output in the afternoon.
So what next with Millie then?
I think it's I understand the question, right, but he's missed one game. He's missed one game since January. He's just going to be ready for the next 6 games. There's no panic. There's no big, oh my God, what's going to happen to Keshi? He's just missed the game. It's not the end of the world. He'll just be ready to play.
And when he came on, he had an impact at both ends, didn't he?
Yeah, and you got the assist for Doz's goal. That's where when he comes on for Oxford's second goal. Getting up to the pace of the game can be difficult sometimes with substitutions that come on, and we need to make sure we're right at it. And whether he's starting games or whether he's coming off the bench, we just need players to be ready.
Finally, injuries. How's Zach Swanson?
Zach is we're sort of umming and ahhing about what we do with Zach. Open conversation with him at the moment. He does require surgery. It's one that potentially can be put off till the end of the season, but we need to just internally figure out how risky that's going to be for Zach, not for us, but for Zach, and then go from there. So we'll make a decision on that before the weekend.
So it was a knee injury. How did it happen?
It just happened. He's had a couple of issues with that knee, historic issues, but it just locked up in training. So it was just pretty inconsequential. There's no action on it. That's why it's one of those that he's back. He feels fine now. He can play on, but you might need something to correct it.
So at the moment, you can't say whether he will or won't play a game again this season.
Yeah, that's it. It happens, right? I think there's we have done it before with players where we hold off to the end of the season to go under the knife, and it sounds strange, I think, to people outside of football, but it does happen, and that could be the case with Zach.
Is it complicated by the fact that he's out of contract at the end of the season as well?
I don't think so. It's hard to balance how that one works, whether it's a good or a bad thing, or whether you have the surgery now, wait to the end of the season and delay it a little bit. I think that's ultimately something that I've spoken to Zach about. He's not concerned about. It's just about what the best thing is for him and the best thing for the football club is. And it might just sound like the best thing is just to play through it, but that could cost us as much as it could cost Zach, and that has a negative impact on the football club as well. So we have to make the right decision.
And Eben?
Eben will be back for the Leicester game.
Any more come back at all soon?
No, I think that Wads is due to be back at the weekend, so that'll be the return that we have that's different from Monday.
Thank you.